Muchas gracias, señora presidenta.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson, distinguished leaders.
And
I'd like to concentrate now on 5 key messages based on the contributions of hundreds of women around the world.
To celebrate. I want to celebrate all women, lesbians, Black, indigenous, urban and rural poor women, trans and intersex people, disabled women, workers, young and elders, women in all our diversity, the relentless and tireless work that women and girls organize around the world in different groups and movements who do relentless work to transform the world. The achievements of the last 20 years have been significant, and the transformation of some of the challenging conditions of women and girls face around the world are noteworthy. But we also need to commemorate and celebrate the lives of thousands of feminist and women's rights defenders who are no longer with us. And we honor all the women defenders who do their work under dangerous circumstances, from the corners of Congo to the mountains of Mexico, the streets of Egypt, Azerbaijan, and also those whose lands and livelihoods are under threat due to climate change in the Pacific and elsewhere. Second, today we must acknowledge that the progress achieved is very, very limited. The overwhelming lack of political commitment, the lack of resources, plain old sexism and misogyny, along with increasing religious fundamentalisms, have affected the quality of the agreements produced by governments within the United Nations and at other levels. Third, current challenges to gender justice and women's human rights around the world demand urgent and bold actions of governments, the UN, the private sector, and civil society. Key challenges include deepening inequalities, on the ongoing structural discrimination that exploits women in the economy, climate change, increasing power of religious fundamentalisms across regions and across religions, and the violence they exercise over women and communities, the threats posed by other non-state actors, such as growing criminal networks and the increasing power by transnational corporations over lands and territories, deepening conflicts and militarization, and the widespread gender-based violence in conflict and non-conflict situations. Fourth, over the years, we have observed a worrying trend of criminalization of social dissent, repression, and shrinking democratic spaces in many countries. This trend is also affecting the United Nations and hampers meaningful participation by civil society. The Commission on the Status of Women needs to build a more inclusive process where civil society makes meaningful contributions in order to be effective. The process of negotiations of the political declaration that the CSW will adopt today, in which civil society was largely excluded, represents a step backward. 20 years after Beijing, we cannot afford to go back. Fifth, the text of the political declaration is weak and does not go far enough towards the transformative change that is needed for gender equality. We, women of the world, in all our diversity, deserve much better than this. We deserve that you put aside your ideological, political, and religious differences and fully recognize and affirm the human rights of women and girls and gender justice, nothing less. We need full reaffirmation of the Beijing Platform for Action, but we also need a strong commitment to ensure the following: allocation of financial resources needed to implement all agreements on gender equality, gender justice, and women's human rights, including meaningful resources to support the very crucial work done by women and feminist movements around the world. The resources are clearly there. It is a matter of reallocating them and make gender equality and women's rights a real priority. Ensuring the centrality of human rights, including all women's rights in the achievement of gender equality, sustainable development, and peace. Sexual rights and reproductive rights and health should not be used as trade-offs among governments in negotiations. When women and girls die as a result of this trade-off, this needs to stop. Culture, religion, and tradition, as Vienna and Beijing clearly stated, cannot be used as a basis to violate, discriminate, and justify the delay on crucial issues related to the rights of women and girls around the world. Appropriate mechanisms of state accountability for commitments made are crucial. Negotiations on the SDGs, the post-2015, and the financing for development should make gender equality and women's human rights central to all the agreements, in addition to having a gender goal. A vital prerequisite for the continuity of the achievements and the future progress of our work must start with the integrated protection and prevention of violence against women human rights defenders in all our diversity. It is a shame that all language on defenders was actually removed from the declaration. This is a fundamental cause of our time. The time is now. La lucha continúa. Muchas gracias.
The fight continues. Thank you very much.